I want you to stop. Don't look away. Just for 5 seconds, I need your absolute focus. Stand up and try to balance on just one leg. Okay, if you wobbled or had to drop your foot before I even finished talking, well, we need to have a serious conversation. In today's explainer, we're unpacking some truly fascinating source material, including a landmark study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine that suggests a pretty shocking truth. Your biological age might actually be 10 years ahead of your chronological age. For decades, we've basically been conditioned to believe that getting old automatically means getting weak, right? That the passing of time dictates this steady, unavoidable decline. But the incredible news emerging from cutting-edge longevity science is that aging is actually a manageable condition. It's not an inevitable decay. So today, we're going to look at the research that shows you exactly how to take the wheel and drive in the exact opposite direction. So, to fix this, we first have to ask a foundational question. Why do we actually age? The answer isn't that our bodies just run out of cells. We're not like cars running out of gas. The modern cutting-edge answer is found in the information theory of aging. This theory basically says our cells don't disappear. They just lose their identity. They literally forget what they're supposed to be doing. Think of your DNA like a pristine vinyl record holding the digital music of your youth. It contains the exact perfect instructions to keep your heart strong, your mind sharp, and your skin tight. But surrounding that record is something called the epigenome, and that acts as the analog reader, kind of like the needle on the record player. Over time, lifestyle factors, things like chronic stress, excess sugar, and poor sleep, they add analog scratches to that epigenome. Slowly but surely, those scratches accumulate until the needle skips. Suddenly, a cell that should be a healthy functioning skin cell gets totally confused, forgets what to do, and starts acting like a nerve cell. Or worse, it becomes a zombie cell that just sits there pumping out inflammation. But here's the amazing secret. The original music is still perfectly intact under all those scratches. So we're going to walk through a 5-step nightly roadmap based on this research to polish that record and trigger deep cellular renovation. We're going to cover metabolic rescue, inflammation control, telomere protection, survival triggers, and finally, the glymphatic wash. Let's dive in. Our first stop on this chronological roadmap is step 1, metabolic rescue. This is all about closing down the digestive factory for the night. Inside your body, you've got these brilliant microscopic factory workers called sirtuins. Biologists often refer to them as the guardians of the genome. They're this incredible family of enzymes that do the heavy lifting to keep you young. But they do have a very specific limitation. Sirtuins face a constant dilemma because they essentially have 2 totally different jobs. Job A is to help you digest food, process glucose, and manage your metabolism. Job B is to actually repair your DNA and prevent cancer. But here's the catch. They absolutely cannot do both at the same time. If you eat a snack right before bed at, say, 10 p.m., you force your sirtuins to stay on job A to digest that food. That means they never get around to job B. While you sleep, your microscopic repair crew is completely occupied dealing with that late-night bowl of cereal, leaving all those scratches on your DNA entirely unfixed. The solution here comes down to the number 14. By simply finishing your last meal by 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., you grant your body 14 hours of absolute biological peace. During this fasting window, the food is fully processed, and your sirtuins are finally freed up. They leave the digestive plant, clock into their second shift, and rush straight to your DNA for vital repairs. By just closing the kitchen early, you aren't just sleeping anymore. You are undergoing a high-tech cellular renovation. Moving on to step 2, inflammation control. This addresses a silent killer, and it begins with a crucial nightly habit right in your bathroom. Let me share a really tragic story about a man named John that demonstrates exactly why this matters. John was an incredibly fit 65-year-old marathoner. He had the resting heart rate of an elite athlete, he strictly ate organic food, and he looked like the absolute picture of health. Yet, out of nowhere, he suffered a sudden, massive cardiac arrest. When doctors investigated, the culprit wasn't his diet or his heart's chronological age at all. It was a silent, raging fire burning right in his mouth due to poor oral hygiene. You see, when you neglect flossing at night, the resulting bacteria that breeds in your gums completely distracts your immune police force. Recognizing an invader, your immune system mounts an attack and releases cytokines. These are highly inflammatory signals, but they don't just stay in your mouth. They travel straight down into your bloodstream, where they circulate and literally scar the delicate inner lining of your heart's arteries, making them stiff and brittle. John's heart failed because his immune system was just too busy fighting a completely preventable war in his gums to protect his arteries.
Flossing is dousing a fire. When you floss tonight, I really want you to reframe exactly what you're doing. You aren't just preventing a cavity or keeping your dentist happy. You are actively dosing a systemic, biological fire to protect the smooth, flexible walls of your heart. It's a real game changer when you think about it that way.
All right, heading into the bedroom, step 3 focuses on the mind and what longevity researchers call the telomere protection protocol. Telomeres are the protective caps at the very ends of your chromosomes. Think of them exactly like those little plastic tips on the ends of your shoelaces. They prevent your DNA from fraying and unraveling over time. However, psychological stress is a massive, aggressive telomere killer. The human body is actually terrible at distinguishing between a real physical threat, like, say, a lion chasing you, and a psychological threat, like an unread work email. Lying in bed with a stressed, negative internal monologue acts as a direct chemical signal to your cells that you are in a highly unsafe environment. In response, your body immediately shortens its lifespan to divert all its energy to pure short-term survival. The fix for this is surprisingly simple, but profoundly impactful. By keeping a journal and writing down your fears and to-do lists right before bed, you brilliantly move that stress out of your emotional brain and onto logical paper. This completely halts the production of cortisol. It acts as a biological cue that tells your cells, hey, the war is over, we're safe. You can focus on growth and repair again. Journaling isn't just a mental health exercise, it's literally molecular biology. Let's move to step 4, survival triggers, which involves a very surprising physical intervention right before your head hits the pillow. Taking a small, single spoonful of high-quality extra virgin olive oil delivers a potent dose of a specific compound called oleic acid. This brilliantly tricks your body into a highly beneficial survival mode. In biology, this is called hormesis, a mild, healthy stress that tells your cells to fortify their defenses without causing any actual damage. By introducing oleic acid, you're activating a specific longevity protein called SIRT1, while deeply lubricating your cellular machinery to prepare for the final and absolutely most crucial stage of the night. And that brings us perfectly to step 5, the glymphatic wash. This is the ultimate phase of age reversal, and it occurs exclusively during deep sleep. As you drift into the deepest stages of sleep, an absolutely wild physical shift happens in your brain. The physical space between your brain cells actually opens up and expands by an incredible 20%. Your brain literally shrinks slightly to create these microscopic pathways. This newly opened space allows cerebrospinal fluid to rush in. Think of this fluid as your brain's elite night shift cleaners. It rushes through these expanded pathways to literally pressure wash away toxic byproducts, specifically a protein called beta amyloid, which is heavily linked to the development of Alzheimer's disease. But here's the absolutely critical part. This process takes time. If you only sleep for 5 hours, the night shift cleaners only get halfway through the building before your alarm clock rings. They leave the trash, the toxic proteins, and all that brain fog right there in your head. Getting 7 to 8 hours is not a luxury for the lazy. It is a literal, mandatory power wash for your mind. Okay, let's review this entire nightly routine to see how it all connects into one single, powerful lifestyle change. First, you finish eating early to close the digestive factory and free up your sirtuins. Second, you floss to douse the systemic fire of inflammation. Third, you journal your thoughts to protect your telomere caps from cortisol. Fourth, you take a spoon of olive oil to trigger your survival proteins. And fifth, you fiercely protect those 7 to 8 hours of deep sleep to let the cleaners wash your mind.
We are the very first generation in human history that actually possesses the scientific tools and the deep understanding to decide exactly how fast we age. You are not a victim of your genetic code. You are the active architect of your biology. So if you could design the person you'll be in 30 years, starting with the habits you build tonight, what's stopping you?